Hey friends, I hope this video finds you well. If you haven't met before, my name's Tyler and I'm on staff here at the church. Today we are continuing to walk through chapter 12 of the book of Acts, and today we find ourselves in verses 6 through 10. Edri has set us up really well. She always does every week for my videos, but she set us up really well for who is this King Herod figure, who's important in understanding kind of the supernatural things that are happening in verses 6 through 10. King Herod, as Edri alluded to, is one of the many Herods, but he does what he does. He imprisons Peter in this moment because it's what the populace wants. It's good for his poll ratings. It's good for his popularity. It's good for making the crowd fall in love with him and for him to feel a cohesion, a solidarity with the populace. That really, by knowing just a little bit more about this Herod ruler, there's nothing about it that's really principled. It's really about ratings and popularity. And what's interesting is that in verses 6 through 10, we see something that, dare I say it, is rather supernatural. It's extraordinary. There is mystery apparent within these events. Peter, in a prison cell, finds that before him there is an angel. And then suddenly the chains that bound his hands are gone. Somehow he got on the other side of the bars of his cell. The guards who are protecting the space between his cell and the exit to the prison or the jail, suddenly they just don't seem to care, or they just don't see Peter. And so Peter just walks on right by outside, and it's on the other side, outside of the prison space, from being in captivity to being imprisoned to not. Peter says a few words that he realizes that this wasn't a dream, that he was in this weird dreamlike state, and then suddenly he was like, oh wait, that actually just happened. I'm now free. The events are weird. They're easy to excuse, but I think there's something here that is important with the larger context that we've been setting up. And that is that it appears from the writer of Acts that God does not play along with the games that Herod is playing. God does not play along. God is not complicit with. God disrupts these actions of Herod, where Herod is wanting to just generate his own popularity and fame at the expense of actual people. It's a theological statement, as so much is. And so, in that spirit of disrupting, that which we think is pretty certain, that you can't just go through prison bars, that you can't just sneak past prisoners, that chains don't just fall away, that angels just don't appear, all of that in this story is untangled, is distorted, is changed. Metaphysics are being changed to just exaggerate and show how much God isn't playing along with it. And it brings a really good reflection question for us today, and that is, in what ways do we play the games that Herod is playing? Now, not many of us listening to this video, I think, are rulers of entire territories, but there are ways in which we are complicit with, or complicit may be a hard word to really grasp. There might be ways in which we stand in solidarity with those who we want to think well of us, at the detriment of other people. One of the ways that we talked about this in our white fragility study that just wrapped up, and we have another study coming up soon, so stay tuned. But one of the discussions we had over the last 6 weeks of meeting together is of white solidarity. And we can really expand this beyond just white solidarity. But white solidarity in particular is the idea that a white person hearing a racist action or a joke, quote unquote joke, may not respond out of solidarity with other white folks in the room, to not disrupt, in order to keep the relationships and the status between that white person and other white people as strong, they may not disrupt, counter, challenge, question the racism, the harm that does hurt other people. They may not step out in that fashion, and instead may actually perpetuate hurt towards other people. And we can take that concept and think about it in a whole bunch of different ways, of gender, of class, of sexuality. But may we sit with that question. In what ways do we play the game of Herod? In what ways are we complicit as the populace? In what ways do we ask this of those who we elect? Do we see where God is entering into our midst with angels and saying, none of that? That is contrary to the gospel. May each of us, myself included, sit with these words today. I hope you're well. I care deeply about every one of you. Let us know if there's any ways the church can support you or help you. There's a lot happening in the life of the church, more and more every day. But take care. I hope you're well.